Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel for another episode. And if you're new into this channel, guys, my name is Mamadou Diallo. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment below. Every single week we'll be dropping new content to provide value to you in your real estate journey so you can start making money in real estate today. Guys, on today's episode, we're gonna talk about how did I find my first deal and got my first check in wholesaling real estate and get that proof of concept. Guys, here's the thing. When I first started in wholesaling, guys, I quit my 9 to 5, so I discovered wholesaling real estate while I was working at my 9 to 5 overseas in Belgium. I used to work for a government company. Is an international railway company that sell every single high-speed European train products. That's what I used to do. I was a sales agent. And so one day at my lunch break, I was searching online for a warehouse. I used to have a side hustle, which is wrapping cars. If you guys don't know what wrapping cars are, have you ever seen these famous people driving cars with colors you cannot find at the dealership? That's what I used to do. We used to use what is called vinyl paint and then paint luxury cars, right? So I was looking for a warehouse to start a business. For some reason, I landed on the YouTube video that talks about wholesaling real estate. I didn't know nothing about wholesaling real estate. I didn't even know what the term real estate meant. But for some reason, I was listening to this guy. He's from Baltimore, and he was explaining how he made $800,000 living in his mom's basement, just flipping contracts, literally flipping pieces of paper, right? That's what I understood from the whole interview. The only thing I understood about wholesaling is, hey, you go out, find ugly houses, you put them under contract, and you wholesale that contract. That's all I understood. So what I did that day is when I left my office, went back home, I get into this rabbit hole and started searching more and more, and the more I listened to it, the more I was like, holy moly, I have to know if this is true. Sounds too good to be true. I have to know if this is true. Guys, 3 months later, I quit my 9 to 5, literally government job, paying well, insurance, all the security you can think of. I decided I'm going to quit because I've always been an entrepreneur. Right, so risk is nothing new to me. I quit, took a one-way flight ticket back to the US. Then I started doing Uber and Lyfts and started doing real estate in my car. I would listen to real estate podcasts in my car. I would listen to real estate live calls from other real estate investors on YouTube in my car so I can learn how to talk to sellers. So once I arrived here, the reason I chose Uber and Lyft, guys, is because it allowed me to control my time. I can shut off the application every single time that I want. Not only that, but also if I'm driving Uber and Lyft to generate income, obviously, I just had a daughter at the time. My daughter is 3 years old now, and she was about to be born when I decided to quit my job and get into wholesaling real estate without even knowing what it meant. But I will discover, right? So guys, I chose Uber and Lyft because it was a way to generate income for me. But on top of that, when I started real estate, I learned that one of the best ways to find leads, find properties, and potentially find good deals is to drive for dollars. What is driving for dollars? Driving for dollars, guys, is getting in your car, driving around in your neighborhood, finding ugly houses, and using applications, real estate applications such as Deal Machine, such as LandGlide. Back then, I used to use LandGlide. Why? LandGlide is super cheap. You have a 7-day trial, and on top of that is only $10 per month, and it allows you to drive and look at these properties and put them inside that application, so later on you can skip trace the numbers and call them, right? You can drive in front of a house, pinpoint the house, and it will give you all the information. It will give you the seller's name. It will give you, what year they bought it. It will give you information about the property taxes, everything you need to know, to have some preliminary information about the property. And then later on, I would go on truepeoplesearch.com. That is where I found the numbers. Why truepeoplesearch.com? Again, because it was free, absolutely free. I didn't have the money anyway, right? So guys, that's what I was doing. So I was driving Lyft and Uber, and every single time I will drive a client to a destination, I will shut off the app and drive around that client's neighborhood and look for houses. So I was driving Lyft and Uber and driving for dollars. See it? Get it? Right. So that's how I got my first deal. One day I picked up a customer and I picked him up in BWI Airport, which is the Baltimore airport. And then I drove him to Baltimore City. Drove him to Baltimore City, dropped him off, and on my left side, I noticed a sign in front of a door is a FSBO sign, FSBO, stands for sale by owner. This was a homeowner that had a vendor sign in front of her house because she's looking to sell her property. What I did is, guys, this is another thing, guys, this is another tip for you guys. Take the action right away. Don't overthink it. Don't wait till you go home and put on your favorite t-shirt, because trust me, if you saw the sign, potentially somebody else also saw the sign. If you pull a list today and you want to call sellers and you wait a week to call these sellers because you're so afraid to take action, nobody dies from a phone call. Somebody else will pull the same exact list. Everybody in real estate wholesaling uses the same systems, mostly. Somebody will pull the same list, call that same list while you're overthinking it, get a deal where you're still overthinking it and sitting there and fearful. So what I did is, guys, I pulled up, and in my car right there, I called the number on that vendor signs. It ended up being a single mom, home teacher, I think it was 3 daughters or 2 daughters, just got divorced, and she was looking to move out of state. She was looking to move to Idaho, you know, to have to live cheaper, basically. She was saying over there things are cheaper, life is cheap, so she want to move out from here. And you know, the mortgage was a huge pain for her. She just went through a divorce. She's a single mom. She's a homeschool school teacher. She's currently not working because she's busy taking care of her daughters, right? I called her right there, guys, in the car. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was brand new. I didn't know how to comp. I didn't know how to come up with the numbers, right? Guys, what I did is, right when I spoke to her and she said I could come and see the property, I went on Facebook wholesaling groups in Baltimore, and what I did is I reached out for help because, again, guys, I didn't know how to comp. I didn't know how to find, you know, what offer should I make? What does the numbers look like? I had no clue, guys. I was brand new, still grinding, still trying to get my first deal, still making cold calls, doing a lot of mistakes, which I'm not going to go in this video. On another video, I'm going to do a specific video to walk you guys through my real estate journey, how it started, what was the struggles. But on this one, very specifically, I'm just focusing on how I got my first check. This wasn't even my first deal. This was my first check. Because when I locked up this contract, I had another one that I had already locked up that was in escrow, which I didn't think it was going to close. This one closed first and the other one closed a few days later, right? So I called her, she explained to me what's going on, and she was very defensive, right? So she wanted me to come to the property because she kept getting calls, but she doesn't, you know, trust anybody. So the next day I went to walk the property, right? So I reached out on Facebook to have somebody help me. They told me, hey, lock it up at $78,000. I went there, locked it up at $78,000. That's another thing, guys. One thing that is really not good about Facebook, there's a lot of people on Facebook that talk about real estate or act like they know what they're doing, but they don't, because the numbers that person gave me wasn't right. I went there, I had good rapport with her. She trusted me face to face, told me all the story. That's how I knew about her divorce, the mortgage hurting her, the property needed a lot of work. No real estate agent wanted to list the property for her because they were saying she have to fix the property first before they could throw it on the MLS, right? That's why we investors were so valuable, because why would this lady, she could barely afford her mortgage. How can she fix anything before listing this house? She can't. She needs somebody to buy it as is. The problem was everybody was calling her and offering her $50,000, $48,000 when she owes on that property is $78,000, which I discovered later through rapport and credibility and trust. It took me like probably 4 calls for her to tell me that. So when I offered her the $78,000, she was excited because she was like, I owe $75,000, so I would walk away with $3,000, right? And then I started trying to find a buyer. Me trying to find a buyer helped me understand that my numbers is too high. Nobody would offer more than on a cash deal. Nobody would offer this property. Nobody would buy this property. No buyer would buy this property if not $48,000 to $50,000. This is Baltimore again, guys. I think at the time the ARV, meaning the after repair value, when you fix up the property and resell it, the value after it's fixed up is only about $160,000. But the property needed a lot of work. That's the reason why an investor would have only bought it at $50,000. But obviously that didn't work. Why? Because the lady owed $75,000 on the mortgage. There's no way she can sell her property for $48,000 to $50,000 if she owes $75,000. She would have to write a check of $75,000, actually more. She would have to write a check of probably $80,000 to $85,000. Why? Because on top of her mortgage, there is closing costs, right? And so she wasn't gonna do that. She don't have the money. And so every single buyer I called was telling me, dude, you're crazy. Your numbers are too high. Like, go learn how to comp. Go learn how to do this, right? But I was like, this woman need help. This woman need help. I have to find a way to help her. And that's when I discovered my brother, a mentor, Pace Morby. Like, it has to be God, guys. I landed on a random YouTube video of Pace Morby on a Steve Trent podcast, right? And he was talking about this thing called creative finance. I was mesmerized. I couldn't stop listening. He was explaining how you can buy a property by taking over the existing mortgage in place, right? You don't assume the mortgage, you leave that mortgage on the seller's name, you just take over the responsibility of the monthly payments, and you transfer deed and title to you, so you become the new owner. The mortgage stays on the seller's name. They walk away and you now are responsible to make the monthly payments, and this transaction was called subject to. So it's buying a property subject to the mortgage in place. I started screaming in my car, guys. I was like, this is the solution to my problem. This right here is the solution to my problem. That's what I need. This is the only way I can help this lady. The only way I can help this lady is by buying it subject to, but I didn't know how to pitch it. I still don't fully understand what he meant by that, but he went through a rant and I decided to research Pace Morby. Research Pace Morby, and I think 2 days or 1 day later, he had a 16-hour Facebook free live where he was taking on new investors and explaining to them creative financing. Mostly subject to, which is buying a property by leaving the existing loan on the seller's name and taking over the monthly payments and transferring ownership. I was blown by it. And so I went on that 16-hour live, didn't raise my hand, I was too shy, but he gave a script. He was giving a script on how to pitch it. And so that's exactly what I did. On that live, guys, again, another thing about taking action. I didn't wait till he was done with the 16-hour live for me to go and take action. I dropped out of the 16-hour live after he gave that small script, and I called the lady right away. I said, hey, I have a solution for you right now. I think I have a solution. And then I told her, I think we could take over, I have a new partner, we could take over your mortgage and you walk away scot-free and we're responsible for the new monthly payments. She was like, what are you talking about? Like, how would that work? Right? And I was like, listen, I really don't know. I don't know how it works. That's another tip for you guys. The best way to build credibility on the phone is by being honest. Don't try to make up stuff. Don't lie. If you don't know, you don't know. But guess what? You can leverage your network. And that's what I heard Pace talk about in that 16-hour live. He was saying, hey, leverage me. I am your partner. And I wasn't even part of his community yet. Couldn't even afford to join. So what I did is I went and I told her that, and then she asked me, how would that work? I said, I absolutely have no clue how it would work, but I can bring my partner and he would be best fit to explain the process, the mechanics of it. Guess what I did? She was like, okay, then let's talk tomorrow. Let me talk to your partner. Let me understand how that works. Then maybe I might be interested in doing it. At this point, I had already locked up this property cash for about maybe a month or two. I couldn't dispose it. The lady was frustrated. At some point, she even blocked me. Guys, she even blocked my phone at some point, and then she unblocked it and then texted me and said, hey, listen, I feel like you were God sent when you walked in my house. I never let anybody come and walk the property, so when I let you do it, because I did a prayer. So this lady, she's, you know, I forgot what type of religion she follows, but like on the weekend, she don't talk to people. Right? She don't talk to people from, I think, Friday, so she observed the Sabbath from, I think, Friday up to like Sunday, right? So she did a prayer, and she said she was asking God for whatever, you know, to help her with the house, and the answer that she got was, whoever come and walk the property, that's the answer to her problem. And that was me. I was the person that she invited to come and walk the property that day. And so 2 months later, still cannot dispose with lady, super frustrated. You know, she's over it. Listen, you lied to me. You cannot make it. I said, I promise you I didn't lie to you. I just didn't know. The numbers are too high. My investors are not willing to buy it at that price, and we cannot go down because you owe so much. And so when I pitched her the creative, she was like, okay, explain to me. I didn't lie about it, guys. I didn't know. And I don't need to know. What I do know, though, is I can go find somebody that knows it, that could explain it. And that's exactly what I did. Next day, actually the same day, I posted on Pace Morby's free creative finance group, Facebook group. I posted there, hey guys, I need help. I have a lady that owed too much on her property, and she is open to this thing that Pace was talking about yesterday on the 16-hour live. Could somebody help me? Somebody reached out. We called the seller, and the seller understood the mechanics, and she was all in. That same day, guys, I used my last pennies, again in my Uber and Lyft. I used my last pennies. I called Pace Morby's team, and I joined the Sub-2 community because I didn't know how to do the paperwork and all that fun stuff. So I joined the Sub-2 community. 2 days later, we had this property in escrow. We closed, and I made $19,000 on that deal, assigning it, wholesaling it to another investor because I didn't have the money to keep it. So that was my first check in wholesaling real estate after 8 months of struggling, cold calling, locking up properties that I couldn't dispose because the numbers were all over the place. I don't know how to come. Going to appointments I should never have went because my sales skills wasn't where it's supposed to be. And so every time a seller told me, hey, come and walk a property, I just jump in my car and go, right? 8 months of struggle. I invested in myself. I joined Sub-2 because of that free 16-hour live that Pace Morby did. And 2 days later, I had a deal where we made, my partner and I, we made $19,000, which we split in two. And that was my first check, my first proof of concept that wholesaling real estate is actually real. Like, it is real. I remember, guys, when I went, I was at Chick-fil-A when Title called me and said, hey, come and pick up your check. I literally almost left my order. I drove to the title company. I said, no, I don't want a wire. I want a check. I went there, took the check. I think they were about to close, like 2 minutes when I arrived. Got the check. I started smelling the check. I looked at it, I don't know how many times because, you know, through the journey, right, guys, so many doubt, so many lonely nights in my car, honestly crying, frustrated, feeling like nobody believed in me around my family, my friends, nobody want to help. I just went through a divorce at the time also because I took a risk to get into entrepreneurship, which I'm gonna go into that story in another video, not today. and you know, the family not believing in me because I've been a jack of all trades my whole life. So for them, this was just a new thing that I just started, but there is no way I'm going to finish it. There's no way I'm going to stick to it. And 8 months in, they notice that I'm actually obsessed with this. I've never been so obsessed with anything in my life.